You know, somewhere along the way, life teaches you a quiet but powerful truth, that the moment you stop chasing people, comparing yourself, or begging for validation, something incredible happens. You start to rise. You begin to feel your own power, your own direction, your own worth. But the problem is, most people never get there because they're too busy focusing on everything and everyone except themselves. They scroll through other people's achievements. They drown in comparisons. They measure their worth through likes and attention, and they wonder why they always feel stuck, drained, and directionless. I've been there too, constantly looking outside for something that was supposed to come from within. But one day I realized no one's coming to save you. No one's going to build your confidence, your dreams, or your peace for you. That's your job. The day you decide to focus on yourself is the day your entire life begins to change. Because when you stop chasing people, you start chasing growth. When you stop trying to fit in, you start standing out. And when you stop needing approval, you start living with purpose. Think about it. We live in a world where everyone's shouting, posting, and pretending. It's noisy. Everyone wants attention. Everyone wants to be seen. But very few want to build something real in silence. You know why? Because building yourself takes patience, discipline, and honesty. And those are things that don't come easy. But if you can learn to focus on yourself, to grow quietly, to choose progress over popularity, then life begins to open up in ways you can't even imagine. You begin to walk differently. You talk differently. You carry yourself with a kind of energy that doesn't need to prove anything. You become the type of person who doesn't have to chase, because what's meant for you starts finding its way. It's not selfish to focus on yourself. It's necessary. You can't pour from an empty cup. You can't guide others if you're lost yourself. You can't build a future if your energy is constantly wasted on distractions. That's the real trap, distractions. The people who talk but never move. The habits that feel comfortable but cost you growth. The patterns that keep you looping in the same place. But once you start focusing inward, everything changes. You begin to ask different questions. Not, why don't they support me? But why am I expecting them to? Not, why isn't my life changing? But what am I doing every day to change it? Because self-focus is not about isolation, it's about elevation. It's about protecting your energy, guarding your mind, and building habits that make you unstoppable. And it starts small. It starts the moment you decide to wake up earlier. The moment you stop scrolling mindlessly. The moment you read that one book instead of wasting another hour on gossip. Those little moments compound. They shape your future. Every single day, you're either getting better or you're staying the same. You're either growing or you're decaying, and the difference lies in where your focus goes. People love to say focus on yourself, but they don't explain what that really means. It's not just cutting people off. It's not just saying, I'm doing me. It's about doing the work, the inner work, the discipline that no one claps for, the nights you stay up learning, the mornings you push yourself to do one more rep, one more page, one more step toward your goal. That's what focusing on yourself looks like. It's about mastering your thoughts because your mind can be your greatest enemy or your greatest weapon. It's about controlling what you consume because your input defines your output. And it's about owning your time because the more you give it away carelessly, the less you'll have left for what truly matters. You see, every time you say yes to distractions, you're saying no to your potential. Every time you complain instead of create, you're feeding weakness instead of strength. And every time you envy someone else's progress, you're ignoring your own path. But when you learn to flip that focus, when you start asking, what can I learn from this? Instead of why not me? That's when you start to grow. It's like tending a garden. You don't plant seeds and then stare at the neighbor's field. You water your own. You trust your process. You protect it from weeds, from noise, from negativity. And over time, your garden blooms. That's exactly what happens when you focus on yourself. You bloom in silence, and one day people look at you and wonder how you did it. But you'll know the truth. It wasn't luck. It was focus. It wasn't overnight. It was discipline. The truth is, your best self is waiting on the other side of your excuses. The moment you stop explaining your potential and start proving it, everything begins to shift. You become magnetic. You stop chasing approval because you're too busy building results. You stop overthinking your past because you're too focused on your next step. The person you dream of being, confident, calm, powerful, that person is built in private. In those unseen hours when you choose discipline over distraction, focus over chaos, growth over comfort. So if you really want to improve your life, stop looking for shortcuts. Stop trying to fix everything outside of you and start mastering everything inside of you, your habits, your thoughts, your focus. Because once you do that, the outside world adjusts. Your relationships get healthier, your opportunities expand, and your confidence becomes unshakable. That's the power of focusing on yourself. It's not about becoming selfish, it's about becoming self-aware. It's about realizing that every area of your life mirrors your internal state. When you're at peace inside, chaos outside doesn't control you. When you're disciplined inside, distractions outside don't tempt you. And when you're focused inside, the noise of the world can't pull you away from your mission. So from today, make a decision. Not a wish, not a half-hearted attempt, but a real, solid decision to focus on yourself. Don't wait for the right time. Don't wait for someone's approval. Don't wait for a sign. The sign is this moment. The fact that you're listening to this, that something inside you knows it's time, that's your signal. Because focusing on yourself is not a trend, it's survival. It's how you build peace in a chaotic world. It's how you create growth in a culture that glorifies comfort. And it's how you finally stop existing and start living. Because when you start truly living, not just breathing, not just existing, but living with intention, you begin to see how every single choice you make either builds you or breaks you. Every morning becomes an opportunity to shape the person you're becoming. You stop waiting for motivation to arrive like some guest and start creating it through movement, through discipline, through doing the hard things even when you don't feel like it. That's the secret nobody tells you. Motivation doesn't come before action, it comes from action. When you focus on yourself, you learn that waiting for the perfect moment is just another form of procrastination. The perfect moment is the one you decide to start. Every successful person you admire began with uncertainty. They didn't know if it would work. They didn't know if they'd fail. But they moved anyway. Because focusing on yourself means trusting yourself even when the world doubts you. It means saying, I may not have it all figured out, but I'll take one step and then another. And that's how growth happens. Not in giant leaps, but in small, consistent steps that compound over time. Think of your life like a gym for your mind and soul. Every time you resist distraction, every time you choose learning over laziness, you're strengthening your inner muscles. Discipline is like weightlifting for your character. The more you practice it, the stronger you become. And over time, the results become undeniable. People start to notice, not because you shouted about it, but because your energy shifts. You walk differently when you know you're becoming the person you were meant to be. But let's be honest, focusing on yourself isn't easy. It's not glamorous. It's lonely sometimes. Because the moment you decide to change, you'll notice the noise around you gets louder. People will question you. They'll mock your silence. They'll misunderstand your distance. But remember, silence doesn't mean weakness. It means strength under control. It means you're too focused on building something real to waste time explaining it. You'll realize that not everyone will understand your journey, and that's okay. It's not their job to understand. It's yours to keep moving. You're not meant to stay stuck in the same cycles, hanging out with the same people who drain your energy, doing the same things that hold you back. You're meant to evolve. You're meant to grow beyond your old patterns. And that requires courage. The courage to say no to comfort, to step into the unknown, to choose the path that challenges you. Growth is uncomfortable because it requires breaking old versions of yourself. But it's in that discomfort that transformation lives. The moment you stop avoiding the hard stuff and start embracing it, that's when you begin to rise. Because you can't build a strong life on weak foundations. You can't improve your life while clinging to habits that destroy your potential. So, focusing on yourself means doing an audit of your time, your habits, your mindset. Ask yourself, what are the things I keep doing that no longer serve the person I want to become? What am I tolerating that's holding me back? Sometimes, the reason your life isn't improving isn't because you don't know what to do. It's because you keep doing what you know you shouldn't. Focusing on yourself means holding yourself accountable. It's about having those uncomfortable conversations in the mirror. No more blaming others. No more waiting for external change. Because when you truly take responsibility, you take your power back. That's when you stop living as a victim and start living as a creator. You stop saying, life is happening to me, and start saying, life is happening for me. That small shift changes everything. You begin to see failures as feedback, setbacks as setups, and rejection as redirection. You start to realize that the universe isn't against you, it's shaping you. Every difficult situation is polishing you for the next stage. Every delay is preparing you for something greater. But you'll never see it if you're too focused on noise, on validation, on other people's timelines. That's why focus is so rare, because it requires faith. Faith that your time is coming, that your process matters, that what you're building in silence will speak volumes one day. And it will, but you have to protect it. Protect your energy like your life depends on it, because it does. Protect your focus like it's sacred, because it is. Stop letting everyone and everything have access to your peace. Not every message deserves a reply. Not every opinion deserves your reaction. Not every opportunity is worth your attention. You have to learn to say no to the things that look good but cost you growth. Because not everything that shines is gold. Some things are just distractions dressed up as opportunities. The real power is in restraint. It's in choosing your priorities and sticking to them, even when temptation calls your name. The people who truly change their lives are not the ones who do everything. They're the ones who do the right things, consistently. That's what focusing on yourself is all about. Direction, not speed. You don't have to rush. You just have to move intentionally. Every day, 1% better. Every day, one choice closer to your ideal self. Because the compound effect is real. Small habits create big transformations. You don't wake up successful. You become successful by the things you repeatedly do. Wake up and read, meditate, plan, reflect, exercise, learn. Those tiny rituals will shape the foundation of your best life. And slowly you'll notice that your priorities change. You'll crave peace over drama, growth over comfort, solitude over noise. And that's how you know you're evolving. When you no longer feel the need to prove your worth. When you realize that success isn't about being better than others, it's about being better than who you were yesterday. That's the real game. Every day you compete with your old self. Every day you push the limits of who you can become. Because focusing on yourself isn't selfish. It's how you become the person who can serve others better. When your cup overflows, you can finally pour into others without losing yourself. When you master yourself, you can lead others by example, not by words. So don't let anyone make you feel guilty for wanting to grow. Don't let small minds shame you for dreaming big. The world needs more people who are disciplined, focused, and alive with purpose. People who lead not by noise, but by presence. And that's who you're becoming every time you choose to focus inward. Remember, you can't light up others if your own flame is dying. Keep your flame alive. Feed it with self-care, with learning, with gratitude. Every single day you focus on yourself, you're building momentum. And that momentum will one day carry you to places you once thought were impossible. That's how life rewards those who stay focused, silently, slowly, then all at once. And when that moment arrives, when your consistency finally meets your opportunity, you'll understand why focusing on yourself was the best decision you ever made. Because everything you went through, all the solitude, all the self-discipline, all the nights when you questioned if it was even worth it, it all begins to make sense. You start to realize that self-focus was never about escaping the world. It was about preparing yourself to lead in it. You were building strength quietly, developing habits that would sustain you when things got tough, and creating a mindset that no setback could shake. You see, most people never experience their true potential because they're too afraid of being alone with themselves. Silence scares them because it forces them to confront the truth, that they've been running in circles, blaming everything but their own inaction. But when you focus on yourself, silence becomes your ally. It becomes the space where you hear your real thoughts, where you rediscover your own voice, where you start designing the life you want instead of reacting to the life you were given. And that's when things begin to change. Because clarity only comes in stillness. Growth only happens when you give yourself permission to pause, reflect, and realign. Think of a seed. Before it grows into a tree, it must be buried in darkness. That period of being unseen, uncelebrated, and underground is essential. That's where the roots form. That's where the strength develops. And you, too, have to go through that season of darkness. The world might not see your effort yet, but that doesn't mean it's not working. You're growing roots, emotional, mental, spiritual roots that will anchor you when success finally blooms. The challenge is not to give up during that phase, because most people do. They plant the seed, water it for a few weeks, and when they don't see results, they quit. But you can't microwave greatness. You can't rush a masterpiece. You have to trust the process even when it's silent. That's the essence of focusing on yourself. Faith in the unseen. It's knowing that your consistency today is shaping the version of you that will handle tomorrow's blessings. And when you finally start seeing progress, when your mind gets sharper, your habits stronger, your confidence higher, you'll realize that external results were never the true reward. The real prize was who you became in the process, because focusing on yourself builds inner wealth. It creates peace that no one can take away. It teaches you that happiness isn't something you chase. It's something you build by keeping promises to yourself. Every time you say you'll do something, and you actually do it, you earn respect from the one person who matters most, you. That self-respect becomes your fuel. It's what keeps you disciplined on days you feel uninspired. It's what silences doubt when life tests you. And it's what attracts the right opportunities and people into your orbit, because confidence is magnetic. People can feel when you've done the inner work. You no longer need to convince anyone of your worth. Your energy speaks for you. And ironically, when you stop trying to impress others, you naturally start to impress them, not through words, but through results. Your glow changes because it's not coming from validation, it's coming from alignment. You've stopped performing and started becoming. But remember, growth never ends. The moment you think you've made it, life will test your humility. That's why it's crucial to stay grounded. Keep learning. Keep evolving. Keep remembering that focusing on yourself is not a destination, and it's a lifelong journey. You'll face new challenges at every level, new versions of yourself to overcome, new fears to face. But that's the beauty of life. It keeps refining you. The more you grow, the more you realize how much more there is to learn. That's what keeps you humble, hungry, and human. Because real improvement isn't about perfection. It's about progression. It's about waking up every day and saying, how can I be a little better than I was yesterday? And that question alone can transform your life. Because self-improvement isn't built in grand gestures. It's built in micro decisions. Every time you choose water over soda, reading over scrolling, gratitude over complaining, you're rewiring your brain for success. You're telling your subconscious, I'm in control now, and your subconscious listens. It starts adapting, reshaping, rebuilding. That's when you start noticing subtle shifts. You think clearer, you react slower, you feel calmer. The storms outside don't shake you as much because you've built peace within. You stop needing constant stimulation because you've learned to enjoy your own company. You find joy in growth itself, and that's when life becomes fulfilling. Not because everything is perfect, but because you've learned how to create peace even in imperfection. You no longer depend on people to make you feel worthy. You've built that worth internally. You no longer depend on luck to define your success. You've created systems and habits that guarantee it. You no longer depend on external circumstances to bring happiness. You've found it in your purpose. That's what it means to truly improve your life. It's not about living a life that looks good on the outside but feels empty inside. It's about building a life that feels good in your soul even when no one's watching. It's about waking up each day with gratitude, knowing you're not where you used to be. And that alone is progress. Because improvement isn't always loud. Sometimes it's just being kinder today than you were yesterday. Sometimes it's choosing patience instead of anger. Sometimes it's saying no to what doesn't serve you. That's self-mastery. That's power. And the more you live this way, the more you realize that life has always been responding to your level of focus. The more focused you are on your growth, the more aligned your circumstances become. Doors begin to open. People begin to appear. Opportunities find you because your energy is finally in the right place. That's why you can't fake self-focus. It's felt. It's an aura, a vibration that speaks louder than words. You'll notice that you stop needing to chase things because the right things start gravitating toward you. It's like the universe whispers, finally you're ready. But here's the catch. You must keep your vision clean. You must protect your focus daily because distractions don't disappear just because you've evolved. They just get smarter. Success brings its own temptations, pride, comfort, complacency. But when your foundation is built on self-awareness, you won't lose yourself in those moments. You'll remember that the goal isn't just to achieve, it's to remain aligned. To keep evolving, to keep giving your best, not because someone's watching, but because that's who you are now. You've built yourself to a point where excellence is your default. And when that happens, improvement is no longer something you chase. It becomes who you are. Because when improvement becomes who you are, every area of your life transforms naturally. You start to see how everything connects. Your thoughts, your habits, your relationships, your energy, all of it mirrors the way you treat yourself. When you focus on yourself, you start setting higher standards. You stop entertaining half-efforts, half-truths, and half-hearted people. You stop tolerating anything that disturbs your peace because you've worked too hard to find it. You begin to realize that peace is the real flex, not popularity. Discipline is the new luxury. Clarity is the new confidence. You no longer crave being everywhere. You crave being present wherever you are. You start showing up with purpose instead of pressure. And slowly, your world aligns. You stop trying to control people and outcomes because you've learned to control yourself. You realize that real power isn't about dominating others. It's about mastering your reactions. When you master yourself, nothing outside can break you. No insult, no rejection, no storm can shake your foundation because your roots run deep. That's the reward for focusing inward. Unshakable peace. And the irony is, the moment you stop trying to prove your worth, life begins to reflect it back to you. You start attracting people who respect your boundaries, opportunities that match your values, and moments that feel aligned with your soul. Because when you focus on yourself, you emit a frequency of self-respect. And the universe always returns that same frequency. It's not magic, it's alignment. But this journey will test you. There will be days when you feel like nothing's changing. Days when you question why you're even doing all this inner work. But those are the exact days when change is happening beneath the surface. Remember the seed. The roots grow before the leaves show. Keep going even when it's silent. Keep trusting even when it's slow. Because consistency is invisible until it isn't. One day, everything you've been working on will bloom all at once. And when that happens, don't forget to look back. Not with regret, but with gratitude. Gratitude for the old you who decided to change. Gratitude for every version of yourself that didn't quit when things got hard. Because you'll realize that every struggle, every lonely night, every setback was part of the plan. You needed to go through all of it to discover your strength. That's what focusing on yourself teaches you. Resilience. The ability to bend without breaking. To rise every time life knocks you down. You stop asking, "Why me?" and start saying, "Try me." You become fearless, not because life gets easier, but because you get stronger. That's the real transformation. Not a change in your circumstances, but a change in your character. You become someone who doesn't run from difficulty but faces it head on. You stop waiting for permission to live your best life because you finally understand that you are the author. You hold the pen. And every day you're writing your story, one decision, one habit, one thought at a time. So write it with intention. Write it with courage. Write it with love for yourself. Because focusing on yourself is not about building walls. It's about building foundations strong enough to love others from a place of wholeness, not need. When you improve yourself, you improve everything you touch. Your relationships, your work, your future. You become an example of what's possible. You show others that it's never too late to start, never too late to heal, never too late to grow. That's why this journey matters. Because the world doesn't need more people who just talk about change. It needs people who embody it. People who've faced their own darkness and learned to create light. People who've turned their pain into purpose. And that's who you're becoming. Every time you choose growth over gossip, peace over chaos, and discipline over comfort, you're proving that transformation is real. You're becoming living proof that anyone can change if they're willing to look inward first. So here's my challenge to you. For the next 30 days, make yourself the priority. Don't announce it. Don't explain it. Just do it. Wake up early, eat clean, read something empowering, move your body, cut one bad habit, spend time in silence, reflect, track your progress, and most importantly, keep your promises to yourself. Because self-respect grows in the soil of self-discipline. You can't love yourself fully if you keep betraying your own goals. Every time you keep your word to yourself, you build unshakable confidence. That's how you change your life. One kept promise at a time. So stop waiting for a miracle. Stop waiting for motivation. Stop waiting for someone to rescue you. Be your own rescue. Be your own miracle. You have everything you need inside you already. You just need to focus it. Stop scattering your energy on things that don't matter. Reclaim your time, your power, your purpose. You are not behind. You are exactly where you need to be to begin. Every sunrise is a reset button. Every breath is a second chance. Don't waste it. Comparing your chapter 1 to someone else's chapter 20. Your story is unfolding in its own divine timing. Trust it. Trust yourself. The most powerful version of you is being sculpted right now, through every challenge, every moment of discipline, every act of self-focus. And when you finally look back a year from now, you'll barely recognize the person you used to be. You'll smile knowing that it all began the day you decided to stop chasing people and start building yourself. That was the turning point. The day you realized that everything you've been searching for was always within you. So focus on yourself. Improve your life. Build your peace. Protect your energy. And never forget this. The best project you'll ever work on is you. Because when you become your best self, you don't just change your life, you inspire others to change theirs. And that's how you create a ripple that lasts long after you're gone. Focus on yourself and watch how the world around you transforms, not because it changed, but because you did.